Are you that person who wanted to get into trading, downloaded TradingView, but don't know where to begin because no one will show you the ropes? Well, you're in the right place. Here's a beginner's guide to learning how to maneuver through TradingView. This video will be broken down into 4 parts: type of plan to use, getting familiar with TradingView, how I set up my TradingView, and cool features I use. Now let's hop right into it. I'm Aristotle, and you're watching Honey Drip Network. Stocks, options, free game, networking, entrepreneurship. Like, subscribe, and tap in for all the gems. I use the Pro plan so that I have unlimited indicators and moving averages. If you have money to afford it, definitely buy this feature. The money you can make trading is worth the investment. Here's a look at the plans that you can choose from on TradingView. So if you're a beginner, of course you can use Pro. They have the Pro Plus plan, but this is the one I have. As you can see, it says current. So these are the plans that I like. And the reason why I like this plan is because I have 12 indicators, and you'll see the indicators that I use later on in the video that I really like to use. Now, granted, I don't use all 12, but I like to have them in my weapons book. So I'll show you how to add lots of indicators to your weapons book. Okay, that's what I call it, my weapons book. All right. So here's a look at the plans that you can use for TradingView. So the only difference that I see really is the amount of indicators per plan. So as you can see, this is my current plan. I have the premium plan. That is because I am a pro day trader and I need lots of things to look at. So I love the 25 indicators, even though I'm not looking at 25 indicators. It's just nice to know that I have as many options as possible. So I really don't like to limit myself when it comes to trading, but all of these plans could be good for you. I rarely set over 20 alerts, you know what I'm saying? So really, I could do well with the Pro Plus, but you know how it goes down. When you get money, you just upgrade to the highest plan when you really like a service. And when I show you more about TradingView, you will see why I like this service. So let's get familiar with TradingView. First thing first is you need to know what time frame you're on. So I love toggling through these time frames. I like to go from the weekly chart to the daily chart, 4 hour, 15 minute. So basically these are how you toggle through the time frames. This is the type of candlestick you use, but I always keep it at the regular candles. I love these drawing features. So you got your paintbrush, you got your highlighter, and you got your rectangles, circles, all of that. So I'll show you guys how to use that real quick. Let's say we go to Apple stock and we go to the daily chart, right? Right here, you have your rectangles. So I usually like to do my rectangles for gap fills, things like this. And you can edit your rectangles however you want. You can have whatever you want, the style, the background, the border, however you want to do it. So always know that you can edit each indicator. The Fibonacci indicator will be right here. I love my fib retracements. So you can use fibs. And I just keep them kind of default because I like the original colors on TradingView. You can go in and delete that. Go back right here. You have your lines. So if you want to draw trend lines, so let's just say I wanted to draw a trend line with Apple right here where we see these multiple touches. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and then you also have your horizontal line. So let's just say I saw a nice line. That means it goes straight across your horizontal line, and you can make it as skinny as you want. And then you have your horizontal ray line, which goes wherever you started at. So let's just say I see a resistance point right here and I want to start it right here. Let's just say right here, right? Boom. My horizontal ray line. I can make it white. I can do whatever I want to do with this, make it thicker or whatnot. Just types of things you can do with TradingView. And then you got your info line. So let's just say down here, right? It'll tell you what's going on, the degree, the angle, how much of a percent drop. This is a negative 41% drop. All of that, right? It'll tell you the angle and everything. So I like the info bar. You can go right here. So from the highs, we have about a 7% decline. So I like that. So it's a lot that you can do with this. Then you have your text, just in case you want to, text something, spread the love. You can move this thing anywhere. So you can add as many text signals as you want. Here's how I set up TradingView from scratch. All right. So now it's time to show you how I set up my TradingView from scratch. So first things first, you can follow me on TradingView at Mr. Longstroke 96. No, I didn't name myself that. All right, things just happen. So I have dark mode. I love catching on dark mode because I don't like to be blinded. Then we can take off this replay. We can exit out of replay. So I like to go to the daily chart first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all drawings. I'm going to go here first. Let's go to this chart. All right, so let's remove all drawings and indicators and start over, right? Go to the daily chart. Now we're starting over when it comes to TradingView, all right? So we're gonna start all the way over. I like to clean my chart anyways. So first things first, I need to go to indicators and I need to type in moving average. So and it's gonna pop up right here, all right? So those are my weapons. So I got 2. And then I can just keep typing. I can just keep tapping moving average. I like to have at least 5 of these bad boys. So the first one that I like to do is called my 8 MA. And I like to make this green and I keep it thin on purpose. The second one I like is my 21. Keep it a little thicker. The third one that I like is my 50. So the reason why I use these indicators, because these are the indicators that the market likes to move off of, all right? And then the next one is my 100. So you'll notice that the market likes to move off of these specific indicators. We can make that the third thickest line. And then my last one would be the 200. We're going to make that one thick and we're going to make it different. Right? So we got our 2, we got our 8, 21, 50, 100, and 200. All right, so those are my top indicators to use during whenever I'm trying to swing trade. I am looking at these. Now, granted, not all of them at the same time. Sometimes I do. So to break it down, the 8 is usually for a nice uptrend. So you'll see when something is trending upward, it's following that green line. It's sitting on top of that green line. And the next line of defense, if it drops below green, is the yellow, which is the 21. If it drops below the yellow, right, it goes to the 50. You see how it's stopping? And then the 200 is the strongest line, as you can see. So we have a golden cross here on SPY. And the golden cross is when the 50 crosses above the 200, which is the purple, right? So that's pretty much what I'm using these for. The moving average, so the 8 moving average is pretty much an average of the last 8 closing prices. So it will add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, but the closing price. So this C right here, that closing price, that stands for closing. This stands for open, high, low, close. All right, and that's for candlesticks. And that's on a separate video. You can look it up. It's called How to Option Trade for Beginners, and I break down candlesticks. I even break down a lot of things in there, how to place a trade, everything. So go check that video out. So the next set of indicators, and I have them on my favorites. I don't use everything, definitely volume. Volume is something you need to have up, so I always have volume. All right, and I like to keep things simple, and that's pretty much it as far as when I'm trying to swing on the daily chart. Okay, so I don't really use too many indicators, just that. I don't use Bollinger Bands or anything else, and if I need to, I might pull out a Fibonacci retracement every once in a while, but other than that, I like to keep things very, very, very simple. All right, folks. Another indicator that I like to use are the EMAs too. So I only use the 8 and 21 EMA. So I'm going to use EMA exponential 1, 2. So I'm going to add those over there. And now you see why I have the most expensive plan. I like to keep things the same color, by the way. I keep my 8 EMA and my regular MA the same color so I don't get them confused. All right, so what I do is I like to click this eye to make those disappear. So when I'm day trading, I only keep a few MAs up because I like to keep my price action in my chart clean as possible. So whenever I'm doing EMAs, I keep them the same color, same length, everything, thickness, everything. So I got my 8 and my 21 EMA, and those are when I'm trading on the 5-minute chart. So that's what I do. I trade on the 5-minute chart, as you can see. And then I have my VWAP for when I'm day trading. So I go right here and you'll see it right here, volume weighted average price. But you can just type in VWAP and it'll come up. All right. So I got to take a lot of stuff off the VWAP. Glad we're showing this here. But I take that off, and that off, and whatever else it has. All right. And I only just use the VWAP, and I keep it a snowball color because I like to know that I am not using an MA. I am using a VWAP. So I keep this thing snowball like that. So that way I know for a fact this is the VWAP, it's not an MA. I don't really like to get things confused, and I keep it white. So basically the VWAP is your volume weighted average price. And if stocks are trading below the VWAP, then the sentiment is bearish. And when it's trading above the VWAP, the sentiment becomes bullish. So that's pretty much telling you what the sentiment is on that day, the VWAP. So you see how when it was trading above, it was bullish, and then once it breaks back below the VWAP, the sentiment is now bearish again, right? And it became bearish during that day. And you see here, everything is trading above the VWAP. So you gotta see what's going on, all right? And that's pretty much all I use to set up my chart for day trading and swinging. I like to keep things extremely simple. Those are my favorite indicators. Now, as far as we going back to the daily chart, I do use what is called the RSI and the MACD, and those are the only oscillators that I use. So oscillators would be at the bottom. Overlays would be things that are placed over your chart. So the oscillators that I like to use are simple: MACD, moving average converge and diverge. So this one, and then the RSI, relative strength index. So you can say RSI if you want to, and it'll pop up. You can also type in MACD. So I do make a lot of changes to these, and I'll show you why and how I do this. So you go right here, you click that button, and then you go to the gear settings. So I make the RSI yellowish. I don't like that RSI MA because it's pointless. All right, so for the upper one, I make red because that means selling. So RSI, when everything get here and it's overbought. So you see right here, when it was overbought, right here, you see that? It indicated to sell when it was overbought on the RSI right here. So that's pretty much what I use the RSI to gauge whether something should be sold or bought, or if things are getting too high. You see right here, when it reached that red line, if we go straight up, so from right here straight up all the way up, you see it was time to sell. So that's why I use the RSI. And then I gotta make the bottom one green, of course. You see that? So I made the top red and the bottom green. So you see right here, it told us to buy when it start getting these green zones. And look what happened. So the RSI is one of my favorites. And then right here, I do the MACD line, green. And this is after the Hulk. I do this after the Hulk colors. And I do make them a little thicker. The slower line is purple. So the signal line is what I use for purple, and the MACD line I use green. So that way I know for a fact green means fast, purple means slow. And I also even did my MAs and EMAs the same way, just like the green light, red light thing, right? Except I don't use red because the candles are red. But as you can see, I have green right here, and then I have yellow right here, right? So you guys see what's going on, all right? So the RSI, MACD, and this is pretty much the indicators I use for the daily chart. I do not use these whenever I'm day trading. All right, I do not use these. So you guys take into account of that. I'm only using the VWAP, and I do use pivot points as well. So I can go in and show that. I use pivot points standard. And these are pretty much the only indicators that I'm using. Now these are for targets and things like that. So pivot points, you see how this is the next target and this would have been the next target. So it's just giving me approximate targets that things can reach. Like you see how right here, it went to this pivot point, stop. Next thing you know, the next target is the next pivot point. So you can see how it went to this pivot point, kind of bounced a little bit, then went to this pivot point, bounced a little bit, then came back down to this pivot. Then the next target was this pivot. So these are good examples. That one is an excellent example how the pivots is used. Even here, you see how it went to the pivot and rejected. So I love pivot points, all right? They are good approximate targets for day trading. And that is pretty much how I set up my chart. Here's some cool features I use. Let's hop right into some of the key features that I use in TradingView. Like this feature right here where you can select your layout. So if you wanted to watch 8 charts at a time, whatever type of layout you like, you can watch it. So I like to go 6 and 8 when I'm traveling. I'm usually doing 6. So these are my favorite 2 types of chart. The 4 square chart is all right too. It just depends on what I'm watching. And sometimes I like to compare stocks side by side, or you can just go in and just have one chart. So it's all dependent on that. But let's just say you have 8 charts, right? You can click this screen and go from, you tap that button and tap this button right here to go from each screen. And I'll show you how I set up all my charts later on. Then of course you have my favorite, which is the alerts. And I'll go over that in a separate video, the way I like to set alerts. So you got your price alerts. You can get them to text to you however you want them sent to you. So the notifications part, you can either do notify on app, show pop-ups in email, webhook, things like that you can do. And then these are pretty much the ones I use. And this right here, this thing right here, this pin thing, this little paper clip, will make it to where wherever you put on this chart will show up on all of the charts. So let's just say I'm charting here on Apple. So that means even if I go to this, you see how it's pretty much syncing to every chart. So even on this Apple chart, you see how it's still the same. I got my love, I got this, my info bars, things like that. So that's something you need to take into account. And then you have, you can do stickers. You got emojis and stuff like that. So I can put my poop emoji right there. And these are just some of the key features you need to pay attention to. And most importantly, the indicators. So this is how you search the indicators you want. You can have your favorites. All you got to do is go to the technicals and favorite whichever one you like. So I love the MACD. So you can type in MACD and it'll pull it up, moving average, conversion, diverge, things like that. It's a lot that you can do. You have your stock screener. So let's just say I pulled the screener up full time. You know, you have all types of things you can do in here. So I love TradingView. I really don't use the stock screener. I just like to go down my watch list. So you can add stocks to your watch list. Like, let's just say I wanted to add VT to my watch list. Boom, it'll be at the bottom there. And you can move the stocks in order however you want them. So I like to keep my stocks in a certain order. So as you can see, I got SPY, QQQ, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Meta, basically in the order that I like to trade things. So I have my stocks in order. Like, I can move Google up, you know, the totem pole, because, you know, it's right there. So I would say Google is in the right spot. Things I like to trade, and you can, you know, flag certain stocks, you know, whatever color you want. So just keep that in mind. You can make your watch list as big as you want. You can add on to your watch list here. And then here's the replay button where you can replay certain things. So let's just say, oh, you can also delete. So I want to remove all drawings, and let's just say I wanted to replay today and start today over. So I can go and I can literally replay today, and then I can go to the 5-minute chart, and I could literally press play and replay 5-minute candles. See what I'm saying? So if I wanted to review some trades, see what I could have done better, I could replay this thing. So that's just a feature, you know, added bonus. You can really see it, you know, you can see it replaying in full time. So that way you can be like, hey, I should have did this right there. Adding your moving average indicators are important. So you can type in whatever indicator you want. You got your moving average exponential. So that's one of my favorites. And then you got regular moving average. So, yep. So these are some of the key features that I use when it comes to getting on TradingView and getting familiar with TradingView. I don't really do too much with it because, you know, keeping it basic is what you need to do. You really don't want to do too much. You don't want your chart to look like a spaghetti bowl full of different indicators. You really just want to keep things very simple, because keeping things simple make money in trading. So I showed you guys the cool features I use. I showed you guys how I set up my TradingView from scratch. I even showed you a little bit of the things that I like to do with my indicators and the colors and the rationale behind the indicators and everything. And that's pretty much how you maneuver through TradingView, set up your TradingView and everything. All right, subscribe, like, it'll help me grow my YouTube channel. I'm just trying to get out here and show you guys everything there is about trading. All right, it's your boy Aristotle. Peace out.